So this morning I got up and I kept hearing the lids on the jars popping. And I'm over here and I'm testing them, just the top layer of jars. I figured after Carolyn would wake up I would test the rest of them. But I mean, it would just click, click, click. And I'd sit down for a minute and they start clicking again. And I was starting to get panicked, like we were losing all our food. I mean, there was nothing I could do about it. I sat back down and I just let it go. Well, Carolyn got up, I don't know, half hour later or so, and she told me that it wasn't the jars. She had poured some grease in a jar out here where her stove is. It's just bacon grease or whatever, I don't know. And that lid kept clicking back and forth all morning. I guess because it got so cool outside. So, something to be aware of. That those jars, I mean, you got to listen for them. I think we've only had like 3 fail. We've actually had more regular lids fail than the Tattler lids. The Tattler lids are reusable lids. I really suspected the Tattler lids would fail more frequently, but they haven't. Now, somebody's going to complain, you need to take those rings off those jars. And I've covered this many times before. On the bottom of the box, the jars come in with lids and rings. It says you can do it either way. You can leave the lids, the rings on, or take them off. I would suggest that folks reread the instructions on canning. A lot of people get into habits and wives' tales and old methods, but the instructions are there and they're written by the company who produces these things. So just keep that in mind that I read them every time I can. Whatever it is I'm going to can, I get the canning book out and I read the recipe in the book. You know, the canner came with a list of recipes. And then I read all the instructions to make sure I'm doing it right. So just keep that in mind. I think a lot of people just get in a habit. I mean, I watched one person doing canning and she didn't wipe the lip of the jar off after she put her food in. And sure enough, they failed. So today's a pretty nice day. I got to get a chance to cut the grass. As you know, I haven't been cutting grass very frequently because it's been pretty dry here. After all the rain we got in the spring, then it just stopped raining. Well, we got 2 thunderstorms recently and the grass kind of sprouted back up. So I've been waiting as long as I can. It's probably been a good 2 months, month and a half since I've cut grass. It's trying to save gas. I mean, it takes 2 gallons of gas on the lawnmower to cut the grass. So I waited. It was kind of fun. I like cutting the grass. It's so expensive right now. But got several wood piles that fell over through these big windstorms that we've had. I'm not going to mess with them right now. The snakes, there's no reason to mess with the snakes. I can wait until the fall after the first frost. The snakes will go into hibernation and then I can pick the wood up then. And then I can knock down some of this brush. That's what I typically do. That way I don't have to get in there and do it while all the snakes and bugs and spiders are in there. I can just wait until, I mean, you know, there's all kinds of things in there you got to worry about. Poison ivy and ticks. So just let it grow up. You get to enjoy the greenery, and then in the fall, and knock it all down again, and it grows back up next year. So I've been talking about the differences between preppers / stockpilers and off-gridders / self-sustaining lifestyles. And I completely disagree with the preppers' philosophy that stockpiling is the only way to go. And it's almost inevitable. Every time I listen to one, they're talking about stockpiling. And they never really talk about self-sustaining. And I know people will say, no, I live in an apartment, I have to stockpile. Well, that's fine. I mean, I guess that's the only thing you got. I guess it gives you a sense of security. But in the end, what are you going to do about heat in the dead of cold? I got all the firewood I need for 15 years, and if for some reason I ran out, I could go out there with an axe, chop down a tree, get a saw, cut them up, split it with my manual log splitter or my splitting maul, which is how we split all this anyways. So I don't even need a chainsaw. So I'm living the lifestyle. I know what I can do, I know what I'm capable of. So I have heat. But what are you going to stockpile? Propane? You're going to go in there with a little Mr. Heater portable buddy and you're going to stockpile propane for how long? I got, I think, 10 bottles of propane, and I fill 2 to 4 up every month. So it's not going to last forever. So I have to have a backup plan to propane. So what are we going to use? Well, I'm going to use firewood to cook and heat our water up with. And we already do it. Everybody's going to complain about the laundry. Put the laundry away before you make videos. Well, I got an idea. Grow up. So Carolyn comes out here all the time and cooks. She's got her whole setup here of everything she's made. She's got her rocket stove. She's got her oven. She can turn her rocket stove into a grill. You can see the grill here. She boiled her water here. So we got it all. We can can tomatoes. You're not really supposed to pressure can over a wood fire because of the variations in temperature. So you try to keep enough propane for the things you absolutely have to have, like canning. A bottle of propane would last us forever if that's all we used it for. You got to think about how to get off the stockpile. And they just can't. They can't seem to think. I've talked about gasoline. We got a dual fuel generator, propane and gasoline. And we all have a gasoline generator. So we got 2 different generators. But as soon as SHTF were to happen, I'd get off the generators. I'd shut off the refrigerator because that's our biggest source of electricity. And I'd save all our electricity for the well pump. Then we'd have all from our solar panels. Then we'd have all the electric we need. You got to think sustainability. Chickens. Our chickens feed us almost exclusively now. We have enough chickens, I think, now that we could eat eggs for every meal 2 times a day. We eat 2 meals a day. And I think that would be all we need. We'll find out next year because we got the Brahmas. They're wintertime. They'll lay in the wintertime. We got the Rhode Islands. They lay winter and summer. And we got the Americanas that lay in the summer. We're going to replace some of our chickens. We're going to keep all the hens that we incubated this last time. We'll butcher the roosters. We'll butcher a couple Buff Orpingtons. And then we'll see where we're at next year. If that's not enough, we can incubate some more. Get some more chickens to laying eggs. So we have this plan of, if we don't want to overwhelm ourselves right now, because there's still an opportunity. We can go to the store and we buy meat. And we like having a variety of foods, but if we don't have a variety of foods, if the grocery store were to just shut down, we have the ability to increase the amount of food that we need. Now, you would have to supplement it a little bit, and I don't think really people talk about this, but what are you going to eat? I mean, around here, everybody's pretty much decimated the rabbits and the squirrels. What do we have an abundance of here that I could sustain ourselves for a little while until we got more chickens if we needed more chickens? But remember, we have a stockpile of canned food that we don't really need to rely on wildlife. But raccoons and possums, I know nobody would want to eat them, but back in the day, I mean, I even remember Beverly Hillbillies talking about eating coon stew and that kind of stuff. It was apparently really good back in the day, but nobody even talks about it anymore. And of course, somebody's going to say, well, you can't eat raccoons because they got rabies. Well, if you are safe and you don't cut yourself and all that stuff while you're butchering the raccoon, you cook out rabies. And the thing is you'll know if you got a rabid raccoon. I got a live trap over here that we can trap them, and you can tell if they got rabies. They'll make a big old ruckus. You'll see it right away. Now, I've been trying to trap something. I don't know what it is. Keeps eating the cat food. And twice now, he's gotten out. So I put cat food in the ice cream dish there, set it back here. He got in, ate the cat food, and was able to get out. So I'm thinking he might be too big for the trap. I don't know what it is. I really don't. It'd be a huge raccoon if it was. Unfortunately, my trail cam doesn't work anymore. It went belly up for some reason. So we got to get away from the idea of stockpiling. And people just really struggle with it. And the word that you need to keep in mind, anytime you have a question, you need to think of this word: improvise. You have to learn to improvise. We improvise all the time around here, and we don't have to. We could go to the hardware store, we could go to the store, we can go to Dollar General. But yeah, we can improvise, and we do. We try just to test ourselves. So somebody asked about toilet paper. Now, I can't believe we still have this question about toilet paper. We went through the pandemic, the shelves were empty, and we're still trying to figure out what are we going to do during SHTF about toilet paper. Well, what do you think primitive man did? They didn't have manufacturing companies back then rolling out toilet paper. What did they use? How did they get through it? So we have to think primitively. Stop thinking that the grocery store is going to provide us with everything we need. Stop thinking that Walmart's just around the corner. And think, as a matter of fact, what you should do is just stop going. You need to test yourself. Instead of saying, okay, obviously you can't buy enough toilet paper to last the rest of your life for SHTF. You can't. It's just not possible. There wasn't enough toilet paper to get us through a year's worth of pandemic lockdowns. We don't have enough storage space. We have a tiny house, so we can't stockpile. The food you see, that's all the room we got, 300 days worth. And after that, we have to be able to self-sustain. So what are you going to do about toilet paper? Well, improvise. Think of solutions. I wonder if laziness gets in the way of things. But if you go to the bathroom and you're messy after the bathroom visit, you can get into the shower and you can clean yourself with a wash rag and soap. It's not that difficult. Somebody's going to say, well, what about you going to do about water? Well, I've been trying to teach you what to do with water. Water does not have to be a restrictive thing. But again, stockpilers can't get past the stockpiling mode. Well, I only got 5,000 bottles. At some point, I'm going to run out. What am I going to do then? Well, if you're just cleaning yourself after you go to the bathroom, you can use stream water. It's not that bad. I mean, you could use stream water. If you could figure out a way to purify it a little bit, maybe boil it like Carolyn does. That way you got some clean water. You can clean yourself. So if you can clip that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to think about the rest of your life so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.